Welcome to Toward the Dawn video commentary of our upcoming service on November 29th, the first Sunday in Advent. We try very hard to get everything, of course, legally done, and we thank everybody who's going to be participating in the worship. A special shout out to Pastor Gary Goodson, who will be preaching. He normally handles the Wednesday evening prayer service. So we're all very excited. He's a dear friend of mine for many, many years, 40 years. And I think his wife, his lovely wife, Maxine, is going to be here too. So it's just be great to share and worship with him this Sunday. We'll continue with our Good Morning Church greeting, reminding everybody that we are a church. We are gathering around Word and Sacrament. That makes us a church. Buildings don't make you a church. Organs don't make you a church. Church music doesn't make you a church. It's the Word and community that makes a church a church. All right, we're going to begin this Sunday with the season of Advent. Advent is often overshadowed by Christmas. I mean, people get excited about the gifts and the celebration of Christmas, and we all know about the commercialization of Christmas, and I guess that's all well and good. It's definitely good for the economy. But anyway, I think that this wonderful season of Advent, 4 Sundays before Christmas, gets kind of washed over. And Advent has some incredible, wonderful themes in it. In particular, it has the theme of hope. It's all about taking a focus or focusing ourselves on what does it mean to live as a people with hope. That we hope for good things, we hope for God's coming, we hope for overcoming our weaknesses, our problems. As a human being, we need to live with hope. We are, as Scripture says, slaves to hope. We have no choice but to hope, because if you don't hope, you fall into despair, and that's a deep, dark pit. So we are going to spend 4 weeks just looking at hope. And what does it mean to wait? What does it mean to have patience? What does it mean to always know that God conquers all things in the end? What does it mean to live that way? And how does that get practiced in our families? How is your family a family of hope? How are your relationships? How is hope a part of your relationships? And how easy it is to give up. And it's much more challenging. It takes more courage to have hope. But it's also a season of expectation, which is kind of related to hope, isn't it? But as Christian people, we live with expecting good things. And I think it's important for families, for homes, to always have something to expect. Whether it's wonderful Christmas in spite of COVID, whether it's a birth of a baby or marriage or vacation or something, it's so important that we have something to expect in our lives, because that keeps us focused on the future and living with a sense of future. And one of the expectations we have as Christians, and we spend a lot of time talking about this in Advent, is the idea of Jesus coming again, that we live in expectation that one day Christ will come and make all things good. All right. And I've spent some time on the blog really trying to lift up how you might celebrate Advent in your home. It's going to be very important that you bring candles, get your Advent wreath ready to go. 4 candles will work. So that you can kind of live with that expectation, right? That plan, that helps us to expect a future. That's why that's important. Also, I'm really encouraging people to decorate their homes in the color blue, because blue is a sign of hope. It's a color of hope. So have a lot of blue in your home. Maybe if you have a mantle, decorate that in blue. A table piece with blue. Just kind of get into Advent. Explore it online. Google it. And learn how you might live with that. I have some suggestions again on the blog. It also is going to be the year we begin to read from Mark. Last year we read from Matthew. I'm very grateful for Matthew. Matthew was wonderful. Matthew blessed us. Matthew made us stronger, I think, as Christians. Matthew helped us think about what it means to be church. I mean, Matthew was fabulous. But you know what? He's all yesterday. We have a new love in town now. It's called Mark, and Mark is absolute fabulous. Mark is the oldest of the Gospels. Matthew and Luke use Mark to write their gospel. So this is like a get back to basics here. I mean, getting back to the whole kernel, the foundation of why we are Christians. And for Mark, he's all about the passion. I mean, most of his gospel is about the passion. And he is very much into the cross. Even more so when he ends his gospel, there's little emphasis on the resurrection. It's all cross. And so I think this year we're going to spend a lot of time thinking and talking about what does it mean to live with the cross in our lives. And how does that play out in our homes, in our families, and how we relate to each other, how we understand each other. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting year. And Mark is short, only 16 chapters. We had to translate Mark as in Greek class, so the pastors are very personal when it comes to Mark, because we know what it's all about. But it's a great gospel. I think you're just going to enjoy it. Plus, we get to read a lot from Gospel of John this year. I mean, we're going to be hitting all the classics, water turned into wine, raising of Lazarus. We're going to spend the whole month of August in the bread parable, the bread chapter 6, what does it mean to have Jesus as bread of life and all that stuff. But it's really going to be a fun year, and I'm hoping you'll kind of get excited about it like I am, because it's really going to be great. Let me just kind of run through the service a little bit, since I spent a lot of time in. Again, make sure you get your Advent wreath in place. We're going to need that. Got this little song to go with it. Every Sunday we're going to be adding one more candle. We'll be doing confession. We've got going back to the old confession that many of us might be familiar with, because it's important, I think, to stay rooted in our past, if you will, to use those old confessions, because they're beautiful too. So we'll be using that one. And then we're going to have this wonderful song, Wake Awake for Night is Flying, sung by the Dominican Sisters of Mary. It's just a absolutely fabulous little music, and the words are powerful. There's a story behind the song. It was written by a pastor, Philip Nicolai, during a pandemic. And he had just had over 1,000 funerals in 1 year. And he sat down and wrote this song to give his congregation hope. It's wonderful words. And then we'll have the hospitality greeting. We'll have the Lord's Prayer. Then we're going to not do Psalm 80. I was talking to Pastor Goodson yesterday. He wants to bring in the Old Testament lesson. So we're going to substitute the Psalm for the Old Testament lesson. It's a pretty cool Old Testament lesson, and Pastor Goodson's excited about it. And then we're going to read 1 Corinthians. It's got some great words. Wonderful place for you to do some devotional work and think about a word or a phrase in this reading. We're going to this gospel exclamation. Some of y'all might know this one. I picked it because these two were just so enthusiastic about singing the gospel acclamation. And then here comes the gospel that Pastor Goodson's going to be preaching on, about being awake and learning for the lesson of the fig tree. Lots there to preach on. Our first reading from Mark. Oh yes, our first of many. And then here's Pastor Goodson. You can see his credentials, all the wonderful things. He was a chaplain in the Army. He's now a colonel. Anyway, so be very excited to hear him preach. And he'll lead us to the Nicene Creed. We do the Nicene Creed during Advent. It's a creed of unity. Apostles' Creed starts off with I believe. Nicene Creed starts off with we believe. And I think that's kind of a very cool thing to do. And we have Pam leading us to the prayers of intercessions, like we normally do. Peace. And then I've introduced a new preparation song. This song has got some absolute fabulous words in it. I just love it. And I think a lot of our pastors preach about these words, and I really think you're going to enjoy it. I ran it by some of the pastors this week, and they liked it. Just some great words in there. Then we'll do the communion like we normally do, and we'll be using the Advent preface though. And then we have this new sending prayer. Pam will pray. We're going to go to this benediction. Some of you might be familiar with it. The dismissal. And then we have this really fun, and I wanted to talk to you briefly about this.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round.
It's not like a hymn you'll find your hymnal. But I selected it because it has such wonderful, I think, Advent themes in it. I mean, it's a song called Rise Up, and it's about singing to people, encouraging people who every day have to have struggle. Maybe they have a disabled child, disabled spouse, maybe they are suffering from depression, maybe they're their own aches and pains, own things they have to, and every day is a challenge. So we sing this song with them, and we think about our own need to rise up, and have hope every day. I mean, again, you won't find any hymnals, but it's a fantastic, I think, Advent song because it talks about having hope and courage and rising up and doing it all again 1,000 times, just keeping on believing, right? Keeping on having faith, keeping on having hope. All great Advent themes. So I really want you to enjoy as much as I do. Here, it's a call right up. Anyway, so be sure that we're going to do, again, remind you of the healing service. Monday Manna continues every Monday. We'll be having a special Advent prayer, Advent song every Monday to go along with the manna word, which is an Advent word. And we're hoping you'll attend and really enjoy the Monday Manna because it's really kind of cool stuff. And a lot of things happening at Give a Difference. We're ending up this emphasis on hunger, even though, of course, continue to support it and encourage you to support the end of hunger. But we're going to move into supporting a ministry in the Valley of Texas. Pastor Gonzalez is involved in this health clinic there that serves, gives out free health care to people, no questions asked, and it's really needed along the border of Texas. So anyway, we'll be supporting that ministry this month. And again, next Sunday's preacher is Pastor Giggy, and it's going to be a great week. So I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. I very much look forward to seeing you on Sunday as we join again in the wonderful gathering around Word and Sacrament.